claiming anything that someone else can do for you, because they don't actually keep someone who's not the company owner from doing it, believe it or not. I know, weird, but it's true. Claiming those channels not only puts you in control of what types of reviews and responses you're getting, but it also feeds into where you're organically placed. By claiming those areas and by being in control of them, that actually, believe it or not, actually improves your ranking. So that is why we kind of are so emphatic about making sure that those areas belong to you and not to someone else who's just leaving you a random review. Okay, PaidBeach. The paid search. Okay, why we, I'm going to stand on this side for a second because I feel like I'm almost killing me. All right, why we insist that pay-per-click and SEO, and this is us and Google saying this, and we're just giving this as advice. I'm not saying that this is, something like, oh, well, I think you should. No, this is literally a proven statistic that when you pair PPC and SEO together, it works so much stronger and so much faster, and your ROI literally improves, sometimes by more than 5%, believe it or not. The reason for that is because with paid ads and with organic ads or listings, same difference, you're literally applying to different mindsets, which makes up pretty much the entire population. You've got the person who sees a paid ad and they think to themselves, this person has money, they're doing okay. They're obviously up there with a national company that's doing the same thing, even though they're a local guy here, but they're paying for their ad, which means they obviously make enough money to pay for an ad, and they care that I can see them. I'm going to click on that guy. Whereas you have that other mindset of the person who comes up in the organic rankings and they say, I'm going to go with my local guy. He's here. He doesn't have $1 million to spend. I don't know what people think. They think it costs that much, but he doesn't have billions of dollars. He's just here because he's local and he's here. I'm going to click on that guy. So you've got those two different mindsets. You don't want to be just on one or just on the other. You want to make sure that you're applying yourself towards both crowds, so that way you're making a little bit more of an impression and you're also expanding your ROI. It's good to be in both places. As far as pay-per-click goes, it is meant to generate traffic to a website. It is literally meant to be that pop. It is what is meant to make people walk through the door and make the phone ring immediately. It doesn't always promote consistency. It literally will get you that boom of business. It is fantastic for that, especially with events or new things that are going on within maybe your storefront or within your administration or what have you. It is great for things like that. But your consistency is going to be all your organic ranking. So that's why the two also tie in together, is because you've got that nice kind of flash, immediate response. People are going to be through there, they're going to be calling. And then you've also got that nice backbone of consistency where it brings in the consistent phone calls and it brings in the constant continuous business. And that is why the two kind of balance off each other so well. Some of this, we can see the important parts, the detail and the importance there in that invisible gray ink. As far as best practices for PPC, get to know what quality score is. We can go over that all day long, and I can preach from the pulpit all I want about quality score, but honestly, this is something that you definitely want to kind of read in on your spare time. Again, something you can Google, and they'll happily tell you why quality score is important. Okay? Keywords and past your CTR or click-through rate, that's really important. As far as your URLs past click-through rate, you need to see where you've come from, so that way you know kind of what to base everything that you're going to be doing on. Because if you have no idea of what you've been doing thus far, maybe you've actually done quite well on your own without pushing too hard. You need to see what that is, so that way you know where you're going to be standing from. What is your platform? As far as quality and account history, you need to understand that the quality of your landing page really plays in to your marketing. I'm gonna get on my soapbox for a minute about as far as quality of landing page. What we mean when we say that, does anybody know what a landing page? Does that make sense to everybody when I say landing page? What that is? No? Okay. And that's okay. Not everybody should know what that is. Because it gives me a chance to talk. Landing page or site or what have you is literally when you click on anything, whether it's a line item on Google, a widget, a URL code, whatever it is, wherever you end up, wherever that takes you, where you land, it's called the landing page. So they literally make it as like you've gone down a portal and this is where you've dumped out and this is where you are. Not everybody chooses to use their website for all apps, which I think can be smart in some cases, and sometimes it's it's just a lot of extra. It's not always necessary. Landing pages or your website page can be utilized for a lot of different things, but not every ad should necessarily go straight just to the main page of your website. The quality of your landing page is based on several different things, which I'll kind of get into here. Is speed. How fast does that page load? If it's taking more than 30 seconds, that person's going to go right. They're going to hit back and they're going to go right to the next person who's listed in the search criteria, or they're going to go to the next thing that's on that person's website that they derived it from. Believe it or not, the type of landing page you have or where they land is now also part of your quality score. So they're actually taking that into account now. How fast does it load? How much information is on there? Are there calls to action on there? Is there content actually pertaining to what it is that they do? All of those things are now going to help quality score, or deter it for that matter. So it's important that we kind of know and understand what those things are, and we can also get into that with any of those questions of that later on. Keyword relevance. Okay. As far as keywords, and I have this question in a lot of markets, so I'm going to go over it for a second. There is no difference between a keyword, a key phrase, a question, a long tail keyword. It all means the same thing. Keyword, same thing. So whether you phrase it as a question, which now thanks to Siri, more questions are being used as keywords than anything, which I actually like because I'm a question asker. I'm like, how do I get from here to here and also buy marshmallows? Like, believe it or not, that actually works, okay? So just so you know, that actually happens, okay? She can do anything, that woman, I tell you. But things like that, believe it or not, there are companies that choose, I'm not saying that that's good for everyone. What's good for the goose is not always good for the gander. But using questions, framing things a little bit differently, all of those things actually change your search criteria, and it also can not just boost PPC, but also with your SEO as well. Things like that you're attached to. We have a way of showing exactly, how many clicks per area, per region, and Google can do this for you if you like to go in and check it. It can literally go you in Google AdWords. There is a way, now it's giving you a ballpark idea, just so you know that, so that's not anything to base the whole moon on, but it literally will show you how many people are using that keyword in a particular area over a particular 30-day period. So it always bases it on the last month's average. How many people in your area are clicking on that word? What were they looking for? Where did they end up? You can see all of those things, and it's really important that you become familiar with those keywords, because just because you think that's how someone's wording something looking for your business, doesn't mean they actually are. Okay. Sorry about the crying. Okay. As far as an ad strategy, yeah, have one of those too. Definitely important. An ad strategy, as far as placement, things as simple as, and again, it may seem like we're kind of beating a dead horse a little bit, but believe it or not, something as simple as, and I know it's really small, so forgive us, again, the type of font you use, what words you first put there. Do you have a graphic? Are there images that are coming up? What are the images? Does it get the point across in the right way? Does it get the point across to the demographic that you're specifically targeting? Because again, those are 9 million different things that you're talking about. You know what I mean? The wording has to appeal to whoever it is you're trying to target. And believe it or not, that can be the whole difference between someone clicking on you and clicking on the guy next to you or below you. Can't have that, right? They need to click on your business. So having an ad strategy, making sure that you're staying up to date on ad rules is also a big deal. You want to make sure, because there's a lot of rules that apply to what you're allowed to say, what you're not allowed to say. For instance, and different states have this, but as far as like incentivizing things, you have to make sure that it's legal within your state with whatever you're saying. When we were in Indiana, they got crazy because they were like, oh no, we're not allowed to give anything away here. Even the lottery was set up in a certain way where it's like, yes, you could buy the ticket, but we're not guaranteeing you anything. It was just hilarious to me because I'm like, oh, the lotto. I mean, who thinks they're going to walk in there and win? But believe it or not, incentivizing and how you do things on rules and what you're saying you're giving away, it all kind of needs to be checked. I mean, I wouldn't say you necessarily have to run everything by a lawyer every single time you do it, but Google has their list of rules criteria that's part of the whole AdWords composition, and you can look those up at any time, and it actually will get into things. We now no longer even have to type anything, and they're mostly doing that so that way we stop, running into barricades with the car while we're searching for Whoops! So, the reason behind this, though, is that how you come up on mobile is now just as relevant as you come up anywhere else. Because everyone is searching through their phone. I mean, think about how many things you look at just on your phone. Not just your social channels, not just your email, but everything else is now all done through here. So making sure that your PPC is just as relevant on a mobile platform as it is on any regular web platform is going to be just as important. It's two different initiatives. It is set up the same way. Calls to action are a little bit different. Content restrictions are slightly different, but overall it's the same game. You want to make sure that you're kind of appearing in both places. And maps optimization is a big factor here. Where you pop on the grid, do you have a Google Play page? Is iOS 6 aware that you exist? And those are things, believe it or not, that are in your hands. You can take control of that. Where you pop up, what's listed on the page when you pop up. Is there a photo? Is there a phone number? Can they click on the phone number? Is it ready to call? That's a big deal. Believe it or not, I've seen several listings, and this is with Google and iOS 6, which is the software for Mac, by the way, if you don't know what I'm talking about. The Macs are just a pain, but it's a good new update. When you actually pull up a lot of mass locations, believe it or not, phone numbers are not call to action. It's not a ready-to-call phone number. It's not a portal to that person's phone. So it's not highlighted in blue. You actually have to manually type it in. That's not only dangerous to the person driving, but a lot of times, they might even be deterred by that. We've become lazy people. We are. And if someone feels like, I have to type in the number I just wanted to call right back, like, that can hurt you. You don't want something that simple to be the reason why they didn't call your business, right? Moving ahead. Okay. Digital integration. All right, search and social together. Believe it or not, because of that whole panda and penguin situation, social media has now taken more of an importance than it already had. Like it needed to be more important, right? Like Facebook isn't in your face every 5 minutes anyway. Now it is actually more relevant to how you place in a ranking with your search criteria. And that's SEO more than it is PPC. Let me just kind of rectify that. That really doesn't have so much to do with the paid ads as it does with your to where you pop, where you place on search criteria. So if we thought before, social might be something I want to get into, now it's definitely something you want to get into because now it's going to feed into where you place socially, or excuse me, organically. So now it's become a bigger deal than it already was. Okay. What are we trying to accomplish here? Can't see it. Okay, brand awareness. Has anybody done a social campaign thus far? Don't be scared. You can just do a tiny little campaign. You don't have to say, yeah, me. Yes? Okay. Do you mind me asking you what it is that you've done? You don't have to say.
That's kind of a grand scheme. That's not just a simple
right. But what specifically? What types have you? I mean, have you done Facebook?
Oh yeah, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter.
Okay.
LinkedIn.
Good
and everything links from our main website and a blog.
Perfect. Okay, good for you. Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that. So you've gone the whole spectrum. Good for you for doing all of that at once. Way to take on that whole menu.
One person.
Yeah. Oh no, it's just you. Oh dear.
Pretty
okay, and now you have 95 jobs. Great. There's a huge difference, and I think this is something that, and it may seem like we're reiterating a point here that maybe doesn't need to be said, but I really do think it is. Not just for you guys, that's for me too. It's something I have to keep reminding myself, and I'm in this industry. There is a huge difference between who you're trying to contact in a digital realm with search and who you're trying to contact in a social way. These are two different people we're dealing with. I mean, yeah, maybe the same person ultimately is your consumer, but these are two different responses. These are two different ways of looking at the world. There are two different types of marketing completely. Your entire search world is all about that magical L word that we all love to use so much. Leads. How many people are calling me? How many people are walking through my door? How many? Just tell me how many. Tell me how many people are going to walk through my door. That's my favorite question. I'm like, 100 tomorrow. The point is, that is what search is all about. We can live in the math there all day long. We know basically for about this amount of money, spent on this about daily basis, it's going to get you basically this amount of clicks, which is going to then lead to this amount of phone calls. And based on your personal ROI for your business, you know how many sales or clients that's going to lead to, and based on your average dollar amount, you know how much money that will end up being. It's a very long, fun-filled equation. Who said you'd never use algebra, huh? It's a long, fun-filled equation that you can literally trace it back to, this is what I'm doing, this is how much money I'm spending, which is why search can be very easy to go to and utilize because we know basically what we can give you as return. We know what your ROI is. Social and using social media and all of its fun-filled gratitude is a completely different monster. Okay? This is about brand awareness. This is about building who you are as a company. It's about your customer service, which is really hard to quantify. I mean, how do you put a dollar amount on customer service? This is literally about the person who comes in and takes care of all the behind-the-scenes things. Okay? If you literally had enough money to have somebody clean your house, yeah, because I don't want to do the cleaning up myself. But it is noticeable when you don't do the cleaning up. Okay? And that's literally the difference between people walking through your door and you building who you are as a brand. Okay? Each one of you either works for a company or owns a company or is a representative from a company who you feel does something specific that's fantastic. And you all do. There is something specific about each one of your brands that makes you different from everybody else. It's what sets you apart. How many people do you think know that about your business right now, though? Probably not as many as you'd like to. If you could literally pay somebody to stand on a street corner and shout this awesome thing that separates you as a company all day long, wouldn't you? Well, yeah. Well, you can now do that in 5 minutes online, and it's going to go a lot farther than 100 people. So that's what social is about. It's about branding yourself, putting your name out there. It's about going from adhesive strip to Band-Aid. I don't even know anybody who says adhesive strip. Just as a side note, I've never heard anybody say that in my lifetime. Okay, moving forward. So local business visibility. Okay? This is literally, and we just kind of base this on simple search engine to specialty website to social media site. This is where literally consumers find other local businesses. They do rely on search engines, but as far as relying on social media to find local businesses, no, not as much. Why? Because it's a local business. They don't necessarily need to rely on Facebook to find a local business. However, why that statistic is increasing is because of now more localized sites such as Foursquare and feeding into Google Places. They're considering Google Places obviously more of a search criteria, but it actually now feeds into all of your social realms as well, so that statistic is going to move a lot over the next couple of years. Okay. Biggest impact on your lead generation, other business to consumer or B2B. Do we have any B2B people in the house? Anybody? What does it do? I'm so sorry.
Bank.
I'm sorry?
I work for a bank.
Oh, I thought you said paid. I'm like, yeah, let's get paid. Okay. Okay.
That'd be awesome,
Yeah.
but-
Woo! Okay.